Hello guys, welcome back to the second part of your assignment and arithmetic operations lesson. And in the previous part of the lesson, we looked at the concepts behind the assignment and arithmetic operations. We saw various assignment operators and we saw the assignment operator and then we saw various arithmetic operations. And in this particular session, we're going to have a look at the practical component that comes with the theoretical one we did in the previous lesson. My name is George Boateng Banfo. So let's just get started. In the first part of our lesson, we looked at assignment statements and we said that for assignments, we use the equal to sign. So equal to sign. We also mentioned that we create a variable and then we assign a value to it. So as we saw in our previous lesson, we saw that we had name, which is the name of the variable, and we said equal to, say, George, where George is the name of the person, and it is also the value. We saw in our previous, the first lesson when we looked at data types is that when we have a situation like this with the speech marks, that signifies that a particular value is of type string. All right, so let's create a variable called name. And this variable going to be given a value of George. So basically when we run this, we saying that we're storing the name inside that we're storing the name George, which is the value inside the variable called George. If we want to see what is inside the variable called name, we would have to just print out that and say print name, and that will show us what is inside it. So basically, we're just saying that go into a container called name and just tell us what's inside the container. So it goes there, tells us what's inside the container. And this is how the assignment operator is used. We can also have another example for age. So let's say 12. And when we run this, we print out what's inside the age, which is 12. So it says it's 12. Again, the idea is that we have a container. We have a container called age with the label, and we put a value inside that. That's what the equal to sign stands for. And once we do that, we have the value placed inside it. And if we calling it, we just saying that print age. When we say this, we're saying go into the age and we want you to display. That's what the print statement is for displaying stuff. So we go in there and want to display what's stored inside the container called age, and that's why we're displaying age to be 12. So this is how your assignment operator is used. The next part will be for us to look at the other component, which is the arithmetic operations. So the arithmetic operations, one advice I'll give is that anytime you go into this exercise or video, you could pause it and then do the example and play it along when you're trying to do it. It helps with your concepts. If you have any question, just drop that to me on the platform. It may be answered within a few minutes, most likely. So we have the arithmetic operations. The first one we're going to look at will be the addition operation. So for addition, we're going to use the same example we had for the first part. So we had some number of mangoes. So we're creating a variable called number of mangoes, number of mangoes, and we're saying that the number of mangoes we have is 4. So we run that, and we come back to say number of oranges. So number of oranges, and we equate that to 6, which is the number of oranges. Then we created another variable called the total number of fruits. So total number of fruits, I would just write total number of fruits, just so we don't stretch the name of the variable too long. But it should be descriptive so that anyone who picks your code to be able to understand what that particular code is doing. So I'll say total number of fruits will be number of, so just so you don't get it wrong most time, this is why I suggest you copy it. So you can do copy and then you paste it. And then you add it to the other side, which is the number of oranges. You copy it again and then you paste it. Yeah, so when you do this, basically what you're saying is anytime you're trying to display what's inside the total number of fruits, we have one variable called number of oranges. So total number of oranges, number of mangoes first, and then that's a container. And we inside that we have a value of 4. And then we also have another container, which is the number of oranges. So number of oranges, which is 6. Now, when we see this side, we're just trying to say that we have a bigger box, which contains all the items. And that box is called, the label of the box is total number of fruits. Or we're putting them in a box called total number of fruits. And in that box, what we're saying is we want to add whatever is in mango to whatever is in oranges. And this is why you have number of oranges plus number of mangoes. So when we do this, the intuition behind it, as we saw earlier on, is that the 6 is going to be added to the 4, which is going to give us 10. So if I run this code and then I print out, I say print, and then I say total number of fruits or total number of fruits, which is the name we created for that particular variable, we say total number of fruits. And we run that, we have 10. So basically it's just, the intuition is just addition. The next part will be subtraction. So in our subsequent, previous example, we saw subtraction and we used the example of bank details. We said your bank balance, which is bank balance, was equal to 1,000. That's how much money you had. And you had to make some withdrawal. So you wanted to buy something. So you had to do some withdrawal, which we'll say is equal to, say, 200. That's how much you're withdrawing. So just so we don't get it confused, I'll just create a different variable. After running this, I put it there and I run that also. So the total, the new balance, which is after you made your withdrawal from your account, whatever we have left is going to be the initial bank balance, which is bank balance minus the withdrawal. Again, you copy, you right click, and then you paste, just so you'll be having the same string. Otherwise, you end up mistyping it. So it's a good idea for you to be doing this, copy and pasting the names of your variables when you want to use them. So if I want to print it and see what's inside it, I'll just say print new balance, just like what we had for the first one. When I say print new balance, it has 800. The concept is just going into the container, just like we did for the first one for addition. The same concept applies for subtraction. We define the new balance as bank balance minus withdrawal. It's just simple subtraction. All right, so the next one is multiplication. So for multiplication, we're going to use the same example we had in a previous one. Say number of cars. So number of cars. That's the name of the variable. And we said we had 4 cars. When we run that, then we say number of passengers per car. So number, I'll just remove the off. So I'll say number of passengers per car, which is how many passengers do we have in each car? We'll say 6. So if you want to know the total number of passengers, it's going to be 4 passengers in this car, 4 passengers in the second car, 4 passengers in the third car, up to the seat car. We add all of them. But because we're doing multiplication, we multiply the 4 by the number of cars we have. Sorry, by the number of passengers we have in each car. And that will be the formula. So we'll say the total number of passengers, total of passengers. We'll say, let's say total passengers, that will be equal to number of cars. As I mentioned, for this particular one, the multiplication sign is not the times or the x, it is the asterisk sign. So we take that and then we say times the number of passengers. And yeah, when we run that, okay, 1 second, total number of cars times that. Okay, so here there's a problem. As I always say, it is good to have problems in your code so that you'll be able to fix it. There's not supposed to be a space here. In the naming convention, if you saw when we're creating variables, we said there are certain things that will not be possible. So when you're creating the name, you have to make sure that there are no spaces between the words that make up a name. That's why in order for me to give a space, I use the underscore. So yeah, if I run this, it should run perfectly. So here, I'll say print, and I want to print the total number of passengers or total passengers. If I run this again, it tells me 24. 24 being that it's 4 times 6, which is the logic behind it. You can swap it with any number and then work on the concept. Don't stop by just doing one example. Do multiple examples. Practice will make it perfect. The next one, which is the last of the operators we're going to see, is the division one. And fortunately, or for some reason, this particular operation has more than one operation, and that we have one, which is just the 1/. We have double slash, we saw the meaning, and then we have the modulos, which is the percentage sign, also for another thing. So the first one we'll look at will be the 1/, which we call the float operation. So the float division. With that particular one, let's say we have, say, 20 divided, as we saw in the previous one, 20 divided by 8. So if we just say 20 divided by 8, we can say 20 divided 1/ by 8. Or let's give you a variable, first number. So number 1, we'll say num1 is equal to 20. And num2 will be going to 13. That should be fine. 2 will go to 13. All right, so if we're going to be doing the float, then the first thing we'll do is we give it maybe float int. So we'll say maybe float underscore div. Let's just give it a name just so we know what we're talking about. So we have num1 divided by num2. And when we run that, we want to print out float div. So what will be the value after we run this? When we run this, it's giving us decimal. As I mentioned, 1/ is telling you that we want to see everything. We don't just care about the integer side. If we decide to go with the integer division, so integer division, this particular one, we use the double slash. So we'll say, let's say int div, if you divide them, and again, you can use any variable. I just want you to understand the concept behind the 1/ and double slash. So we'll say num1 / num2. When we run this, and then we print int div, let's go div, it should give us just 1 as the output, because all we care about will be, at this point, just this answer, not the decimal part of it. That's the essence of the double slash. So we'll see that in action now when I run this block of code. saying 1. Why? Because we just wanted the whole number part of it. That's the essence of the integer uh, division, which is the double slash. The last of it is the modulus. So with the modulus, what we say is we need only the remainder. So if you can see, I'll say mod int or mod div, and I'll say or remainder function. So just so you get it clear, I'll say rem. But before that, let me create the name or the heading using a comment. I'll say this is the remainder division, or sometimes called the modulus. Yeah. All right. So again, this particular one, we're going to use num1, and the symbol is the percentage sign divided by num2. So when I run this, we're saying that I want to divide num1 by num2, but I only care about the remainder because that's what the percentage sign is saying. So at this point, you'll be looking for only the remainder. So here, I would say print, and then I'll say rem underscore div. So when I print this out, we have 7 because the 7 is the remainder. When you divide, we saw that in the previous lesson. All right, so this is the end of this particular component. What I would suggest is that you practice, because practice makes perfect. And also, if you have any question, don't forget to send that to me on the Daja platform. And don't forget to do the assessment that comes with this particular component because it counts again towards your final grade. Um, my name still remains George Boatin Banfo, and I'll catch you in the next lesson. Thank you very much.